happening. I mean, like it was a...
Oh, Jesse Waters is covering it. Let's see. Jesse Waters is going to endorse Graham Plattner because he'd be like, I read the article and I liked what he was doing.
In our relationship. And so that's when it stopped.
And the women, well, were they at least of age?
They were adult women. You knew that, and it was consensual. Is that true?
Yes.
And you have that you confirmed that you knew their age.
Yes. Oh God. I mean, yeah. Yes, of course.
Hayes asked if he ever considered dropping out, and he laughed. Said never. So
why would he?
Not going anywhere.
Why would he drop out? This doesn't make any sense.
Of Fox and Friends. So you've gotten a read on this guy now. You watched the...
Let's see if Jesse can be not creepy for the next 5 minutes here.
Something that shocked all the women in the green room before the show. This came out in the New York Times article. One of the girlfriends, one of the ex-girlfriends, says he regularly grabbed me by the shoulders, sometimes hard enough to leave marks. One occasion, yanked her out of a cab by her wrist, twisted her arm behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom, held the door closed from the other side so that she couldn't get out. And then she ended up, he said she can't get out until she's calm, and then she ended up falling asleep and waking up the next morning. So he was asked about that from Hayes, and he said those allegations are not true. Anything physically that they're accusing me of is not true. Someone who is politically motivated, he said, and he was in a dark place when he was asked about the alcohol, because this report in the New York Times said physically threatening, drank heavily, regularly unfaithful, and did know that the tattoo was a Nazi symbol. And he said, I've said that. I've addressed the drinking allegations. I did have a problem with that. I was in a very dark place.
So the politicians on the left are going to have to react. They're going to be asked about this all tomorrow. What do you think they're going to say? This is a whole nother level.
They've been defending him this entire time. You saw what Sonny Hostin said on The View. I know he's a creep. I know what he's done. This is horrible, basically. But I'm voting for him anyway, or I suggest that people in Maine vote for him, because we have to take that seat. That's how deranged they are. Susan Collins voted for impeachment of Donald Trump, and they still want her to lose.
I mean, she's like what a Democrat would want in a Republican Senate in Maine, but they're going for this wild animal. As a woman, if you hear allegations about grabbing by the shoulders that leave bruises,
dude,
the arm behind the back is pretty wild. I mean, is that what you would consider physical abuse?
Do you think the female Fox News hosts, while they're covering this story, think about what probably happened in the break room prior to them going on stage and how much worse that is than the allegations being presented in the New York Times article? Not even talking about the veracity. I'm just straight up saying, like, because we're talking about Fox News, right? Like, Fox News had such a bad rapist culture that numerous high-profile women had to leave Fox News. Numerous high-profile men were sued.
And he likes the control and he likes the dominance. And so he continues to write her and call her. And that's
Jesse Waters is notorious for describing what he thought was a cute story of how he met his wife. He lowered the tire pressure on his producer's car so that he would have an excuse to give her a ride, or they would be trapped in the car together. About Trump, Fox and Friends co-host Ainsley Earnhardt co-opted that language, saying the allegations were definitely coordinated, employing the same charge the Trump campaign has used against the New York Times, one of the outlets to publish the accounts of the alleged victims. 5 women coming out the same day, that has to be coordinated, Earnhardt said, before turning her attention to the Clinton machine being in bed with mainstream media. Democratic wins media breaking. We were proud to be with Janet Mills before. We're proud to still think she's the right person for Maine. Let's make it happen. When Plattner wins the primary, Democratic wins media, will you support him against Collins, or are you a MAGA op? Yeah, by the way, this is Ethan Wolf, who did support Andrew Cuomo over Mamdani. So we know. I think the real comparison here that a lot of people are not making, like I said, and I made this comparison earlier, is to Pete Hegseth. Like, all of these Fox News guys are like, I can't believe this is what Graham Plattner was doing. How dare he do such horrible things? It's like, dog, Pete Hegseth, the current Secretary of War, was your co-worker. Pete Hegseth was literally your co-worker and was a notorious drunk rapist. If you want to talk about Nazi tattoos, Graham Plattner's totem cough didn't get dinged by the military. which again is more of a diss on the military, if we're being honest. But you know whose tattoo? You know whose tattoo did get dinged? Pete Hegseth's Nazi tattoo. That's right. Pete Hegseth's Nazi tattoo is the reason why he couldn't serve as a part of the National Guard during the Biden inauguration. So what the f are you guys talking about? He wrote a whole book about it. And unlike Pete Hegseth, Graham Plattner covered his Nazi tattoo. What the f are these people saying? I feel like I'm losing my mind. The standards are so out of whack, dude. We just never look at Republicans. We never look at Republicans. They can do whatever the f they want. They can literally murder, cheat, steal, rape, do whatever the f they want. And everyone's like, well, just because they're doing it doesn't mean, you know, our guys should do it. It's like, well, our guys are not doing that, okay? If our guys were doing that, then yeah, that would be a problem. But they're not even doing that, and you're making that equivalence as though they are by guys who are literally either A, doing the things that they're claiming Graham Plattner is doing, or defending the things that they claim Graham Plattner is doing, and then some. Mr. Piker, when you realize the mainstream media is in bed with the Republicans, I am aware of it. I'm just more mad about like liberals who fall for this shit every time. Yeah, Intelligent is right. Randy Fine is allowed to walk around being too sexy and no one does shit. I mean, the party just forced Swalwell out and we're going to pretend we're just being partisan for no reason. Wait, yeah, no, that's the other thing. You can literally point to Swalwell, right? You could be like, well, there are people who have done things on the Republican Party side that are legitimately fucked up and they've been forced to drop, right? Eric Swalwell is a great example. It's like, yeah, the allegations there is an actual sexual assault against a staffer, right? Like there's no comparison. Like Swalwell committed crimes. The allegations that he committed a crime multiple times, actually. You mean the Democratic side? Wait, what did I say? You said on the Republican Party side? Yeah, my mistake. What is this? Bars? I asked Senator Bernie Sanders if there's concern sexual assault allegations come out about Graham Plattner after sent candidate privately assured Dems there's no credible forthcoming claims. Sanders, who are you with? The Examiner. Sanders, why don't we examine income and wealth inequality? Bars. Check logs, please. Don't want to spam. A leftist friend of mine just said this about Plattner. I think he's the kind of liar who thinks he can shape the narrative because he's smart. He started out claiming to be a humble oyster farmer who didn't know much about politics, but it turns out he was a comfortable kid who went to Hotchkiss. Running for Senate first is wild because none of this was tested in a campaign. More will come out toward November. Wait, what? I don't think Graham Plattner is smart. I wouldn't say he's smart. Dog, if he was smart, he would have gone through the regular route. He would not have been he would not have been a machine gunner for the Marine Corps. He would have gone through JROTC and then the officers program and then, you know, Harvard, regular PMC job, maybe a consulting career for a little bit. He did the opposite of those things. He did as a matter of fact, a big part of the problems that he's facing currently is because he didn't make the right decisions in his life that most people are comfortable with. Most people are used to political operatives and they kind of take it for granted. They just don't realize like these people that aren't like regular operatives are going to have things that they've done in their lives because they haven't been fantasizing about being president since the age of 12. Yeah, if he was smart, first of all, yeah, I was going to say, if he was smart, dog, buddy, tell your leftist friend, if he was smart, why the f was he sporting the third most popular Nazi insignia that was on the f***ing helmets of every goddamn Nazi soldier for 17 years? It's the opposite of smart. He made life more difficult because he believed in his grind. Yeah, he was so smart that he prominently featured his Totenkopf Nazi tattoo at his Jewish sister-in-law's wedding, shirtless, dancing around, drunk style. I mean, that's like, by the way, that is literally a Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm plot point. Like, Marine Corps guy who has a Nazi tattoo that he got in Croatia, and he finds out that it is a Nazi tattoo when he takes his shirt off at a Jewish wedding. Except the truth is even funnier than that, because it turns out his extended Jewish family also didn't realize that it was a totem cough, which I still cannot understand. Like, that was shocking to me. They need, see, this is what every extended Jewish family and non-Jewish family needs: a professor of racism. Me. Because the moment I laid eyes on that bad boy, I was like, that's a totem cough. That is the third most popular, third most well-known Nazi insignia. The first is the swastika. The second is obviously the lightning bolts. And then the third is literally the totem cough. It was shocking when I found out that Sam Cedar didn't know what it was. My friend lives in Bucksport, Maine, and said his support has wavered locally. Yeah, I think Mainers have to a KFC double down at this point if they want to fix the situation. I'm not in Maine. My services are not being called. I think if you guys want to maintain a Democratic majority, the only pathway for that to happen is through Maine as well. You know, it's not my battle. I'm on the outside. Okay. Bucksport is tiny. Yeah. My heart is with Michigan. I like you. I do, but this is your worst position. Wait, what is this is not about Graham Plattner. This is not about Graham Plattner at all. I need you guys to understand this is fundamentally something that you guys need to be a little bit more aware about. Okay. If you are, if you're leftist, if you want to organize, if you want to build a movement, you have to be a little bit more skeptical of narratives being formed by your opposition. You see too much usefulness in a dog, bro. Just admit he's bad. This is sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy into a bad candidate. It would be a story, and was one, with Eric Swalwell. You are not being sincere. He was f***ed up from the jump, and you see some worth in him to reach white men, and it's crazy. You aren't being serious. He's a bad candidate. He's a patterned liar, inherently violent, and you give people too much grace in being redeemable. He's on your side for one issue that he came out and started speaking out about after it was growing the majority position. All this defending an inherently violent man for one seat in Maine. He was a candidate to begin with. And because you wanted to trot around with this think like a chud bullshit, you can't even say if this is true, this is bad, because this is a sunk cost fallacy. You think you're making a good point here? What the are you talking about? You've literally made up different ulterior motives when I've literally openly explained to you what my position is. My take on Plattner's stories regarding actually affecting the outcome is that Maine is bluer than Virginia, and we saw this happen last year. Not only that, but electoral conditions have gotten much worse for Republicans since this election. Just to get a read on the situation, hypothetically speaking, if there was another viable Dem primary candidate with a decently progressive platform and far less oppo than Plattner, would we still be behind Plattner? If they had identical positions, of course I would get behind the person that didn't join Blackwater, but there is none. If I'll give you one more thing. Yeah, there's no stopping Trump without Maine, by the way. So this conversation is ridiculous. And it's kind of funny that it's like leftists that kind of understand the severity of the situation, the severity of the crisis. Like, there's candidates that are running or going to win their reelection, like Cory Booker. Cory Booker is a pro-Israel stooge. He is, you know, Israel's top guy. You think I'd be in favor of Cory Booker being replaced by a Republican who will also be Israel's top guy regardless? What are you, crazy? No, of course not. Like, I hate Cory Booker. And Cory Booker is still far better than another guy with a R next to their name that's also going to be Israel's top guy anyway. And if there was someone out there who was running in opposition to Graham Plattner and was pro-Israel and anti-Medicare for all, but had a beautiful track record, like every single day, went to every single one of his girlfriends and they were like, this guy, best guy around. Literally could not find a better guy. He saved puppies from orphanages that were on fire. I would still say vote for Graham Plattner over the other guy who was pro-Israel and anti-Medicare for all. It's that simple. I don't give a f. You're a servant, okay? You're a public servant. Put the policies in the bag. Some of you are operating like you want to be best friends with these motherfuckers. I know some of these motherfuckers, and I'm not operating like I'm best friends with these motherfuckers. Yeah, just one seat, and that one seat in the narrow Republican majority Senate. Yeah, that one seat is the seat that allows the Democrats to open investigations up, like to stop any kind of Republican advance in policy making. Yeah, look at this motherfucking map, dude. You crazy? You crazy?